10 to 15 million illegal immigrants will be removed. According to Donald Trump, the Trump administration will likely shut down many government positions. He's likely to crack down LGBTQ demonstrations. So will US see a ban on abortion? On November 5th, 2024, the USA presidential election will be conducted. Nobody knows what will happen next, and a couple of days later, we got the news Donald Trump is again the president of the United States, defeating Kamala Harris. From the point of this announcement, the global stock market will face a shockwave, either in a positive way due to investor trust in Trump and his economic policies, or in a negative way due to lack of confidence in him. Either way, the stock market will be trending that day. The world leaders will be congratulating Donald Trump, some genuinely, but majority with a heavy heart. So today in this video, we will going to discover how Donald Trump will make America great again if he really wins 2024 USA presidential election. But first thing first, despite all the past and current blunders, there is no doubt that United States of America is still the sole superpower right now. Nobody is close to US in terms of quality or military might. Every US election, US trend, US action, the world watches closely. So Donald Trump becoming the CEO of the United States of America again will shake the geopolitics, because for him, US citizens matter, and for him, US citizens should get the most benefit and privilege than other. America first will be definitely his first priority. So let's start with some possible domestic impacts of a Trump presidency. The first impact will be on illegal immigrants who are now contributing to the US economy and who are entering the US in the millions. Trump is majorly fighting this election or running his campaign strongly on the issue of removing all the illegal immigrants from the United States. No matter how large the number is, 10 to 15 million illegal immigrants will be removed according to Donald Trump, and here's the clip.
We're going to start with that, and we have to get them out. No country can sustain what we're going through. I believe the number is 15, 16 million, could even be 17 million people right now.
According to Center for Immigration Reforms, the number of undocumented migrants in the United States could be around 14.5 million in 2024, and here is the article. His policy on this matter is clear: zero tolerance for illegal immigrants. This turn could lead to riots in the United States, as the number of illegal immigrants is substantially high. These riots, if they happen, may escalate into racial conflict, as many illegal immigrants come from Asia, the Middle East, and Latin American nations. They try to enter the US through the donkey process via Mexico for a better life or their American dreams. However, it is also true that the situation in the United States is becoming scarier each year due to mass illegal immigration, and the US now just months away from seeing the outcome. To deal with this, the Trump government may deploy a special kind of group or military on streets, buildings, and other places, and the world could witness a new kind of civil war in the United States. But Trump promised mass deportation in 2016 too, but he was not aggressive on the issue that time, but he uses Executive Order 13769, which allow US to protect their nation from the foreign terrorist entry into the United States. And in very simple word, it's just a Muslim ban technique, and here is the article. But this time he might fulfill his pledge, cause technically this will be his last term for presidency. The second impact will be on government jobs. The Trump administration will likely shut down many government positions. Although Trump promises to create more jobs, in reality, government workers will be most affected. It is now clear that Trump is considering Elon Musk, who needs no introduction, to be the head of the Department of Efficiency. Musk has expressed interest in this role too, and here is the article. Musk management style, as seen during his acquisition of Twitter, often involves significant layoffs. During his takeover of Twitter, now X, he fired 80% of the staff, and the remaining 20% who couldn't say no to him had to work for long hours according to his demands. And here is the article. Musk's influence could have a significant impact on government jobs, though that's a topic for a separate video to explore in details. But one thing for sure is, if Musk take over, it could be disastrous for federal workers. The third impact will be on LGBTQ and plus community. Trump is not a great supporter of LGBTQ protests and marches, while he doesn't seem to have a problem with the community as long as they contribute to the US economy and refrain from public nudity during prayers or teaching young children about gender issues. He's likely to crack down LGBTQ demonstration. And here is some of his clip.
America's moms and dads should get a veto over anyone teaching far-left gender ideologies to their children without parental consent.
The fourth impact will be on taxes. Trump government will likely reduce direct taxes which US citizens file annually. At the Economic Club of New York, Trump stated that his plan called for reduction in the corporate tax rate from 21% to 15% solely for the companies that make their products in America.
My plan is to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. They are massive tax cuts, biggest ever, permanent. And to cut taxes even more, and we will have no tax on tips, something which they copied 4 weeks after I said it. And also no tax on Social Security benefits. People on Social Security have been wiped out by inflation, and now on top of it, we tax their benefits. We're not going to tax their benefits.
However, that doesn't mean inflation and high prices on everyday goods will be eliminated. Instead, the Trump government will likely raise tariffs on imports. For all those who don't know what tariff is, it is like a kind of tax a country puts on goods coming from other countries. It makes imported items more expensive, which can encourage people to buy things made in their own country instead. Increased tariff making foreign product more expensive, so people buy American-made products. Economists say this is a risky move as reducing taxes while hiking tariff might not be substantial. So while direct taxes may decrease, indirect taxes could rise. One thing for sure is domestic law are going to be more stricter and stricter. Another impact will be on guns. Gun rights are protected, but laws are made also expected to become stricter regarding purchasing and using it, given the yearly increase in gun violence in the US. There's also a strong possibility that Trump will ban TikTok due to privacy concerns and allegation of Chinese spying. One of the most significant social issues will be handling healthcare. Trump has been very vocal about his opposition to the Affordable Care Act, basically Obamacare, and there is a strong possibility that he will attempt to repeal or replace it once again. This could have widespread implications for millions of Americans who rely on Obamacare for their health insurance. While Trump may process alternative healthcare reform, it is still unclear from his side. Education could also see reforms under Trump with an emphasis for school choice, charter schools and vocational training. Educational institutes, schools and colleges may directly order to focus more on academics, research and innovation rather than co-curriculum activities. His administration may push for policies that reduce federal control over education, granting more autonomy to states and local government. This could lead to a shift in how public education is funded and managed, with potentially negative effect on unfunded school districts. Recently, Trump made headlines with his statement about foreign students and scholars going to ensure that the brightest students will remain in the US after completing their studies. His government is likely to grant green card instantly after the students complete their courses, and here's the article. Lastly, Trump's stance on law and order is likely to be a prominent theme. During his first term, Trump frequently emphasizes the need for strong policing and a tough approach to crime. His return to the office could lead a renewed focus on increasing police funding and reducing restriction on law enforcement agencies. This could lead to more aggressive policing strategies, which, while supported by some, are likely to be provoke backlash from communities concerned about police brutality and racial profiling. A major impact may also occur regarding abortion laws and women's reproductive rights, a topic that is already highly controversial. It is widely known that Trump government has partially supported abortion. According to Trump's ideology, the US birth rate is declining, which is concerning in the long term. So will US see a ban on abortion? More likely not, as it involves many factors and it's up to women or couple to decide whether to give birth or terminate a pregnancy. However, Trump government may ban contraceptive pills and other substances that prevent pregnancy. Again, this is highly controversial, but within the scope of Trump ideology, it's a possibility. Laws that prevent abortion after a certain number of weeks may also become stricter. With the number of weeks likely to decrease, this could result in even more controversy and chaos. Here are some Donald Trump bizarre statements regarding women's reproductive rights. You can pause and read it. Also, Trump chosen Vice President J.D. Vance. His statement on abortion have been bizarre, particularly when asked whether a girl become pregnant through sexual assault should be allowed to abort. Any reasonable person would say yes, or at least leave it up to the girl, as she is the one facing the trauma. However, Vance's response was shocking. He said, "Two wrongs don't make a right." In my opinion, this is a terrible, insensitive statement from a former military officer to make, and here's the clip.
If he thought anti-abortion laws should include exceptions for rape or incest. look, I think two wrongs don't make a right. At the end of the day, we're talking about an unborn baby. What kind of society do we want to have? A society that looks at unborn babies as inconveniences to be discarded?
Should a woman be forced to carry a child to term after she has been the victim of incest or rape?
Look, my view on this has been very clear, and I think the question betrays a certain presumption that's wrong. It's not whether a woman should be forced to bring a child to term, it's whether a child should be allowed to live, even though the circumstances of that child's birth are somehow inconvenient or a problem to the society. The question really to me is about the baby. We want women to have opportunities, we want women to have choices, but above all, we want women and young boys in the womb to have the right to life. Right now, our society doesn't afford that. I think it's a tragedy, and I think we can...
Another major policy change could be involve the banning of sexual content and adult videos across the US. The Trump administration believes the consumption of such media is corrupting Americans' brain. However, banning this seems nearly impossible because of the internet. In terms of adult content, the US is a global hub, so enforcing such a ban would be highly challenging. And Trump is a bit controversial regarding this adulting issue because of his past action and world-famous trials. This topic is very lengthy and required a dedicated video, so we will cover it in some another video. There is much more to discuss regarding the possible outcomes of the US internal matters, but in this video it is not possible because it may become more lengthy if we discuss further. So let's quickly come to the foreign impacts that could lead if Donald Trump becomes president. The first major foreign impact will be on Europe. European leaders will have to deal with Donald Trump, whom they often mocked during his first term. For example, Trump once raised concern about the Nord Stream pipeline with Russia, predicting that one day Russia would attack a European country and other European nations would face trouble due to their dependency on Russian gas. At the time, his predictions were met with laughter, but now they have become reality. There are several videos online showing European leaders mocking Donald Trump for his harsh prediction and straightforward talks, and here's the clip. Europe will have no choice but to cooperate with Donald Trump because of several reasons. Then there is the Ukraine issue. The Trump claims he can solve the Russian-Ukraine war in a single day, which seems like an oversimplified claim. Additionally, Trump will likely limit cooperation with the Ukraine and attempt to broker peace between Russia and Ukraine. With more benefits going to Russia, Trump has also made several derogatory remarks about Ukraine President Zelensky, calling him the greatest salesman who visits the White House and takes $60 billion each time.
I think Zelensky is maybe the greatest salesman of any politician that's ever lived. Every time he comes to our country, he walks away with $60 billion. And I like him, you know, on the impeachment hoax #1, he was very good. He said, no, the president didn't threaten me at all. He could have been a great...
Trump clearly does not support the extensive financial support to the Ukraine, a country he views as offering little benefits to the US. During the initial days of Russia-Ukraine conflict, Trump called Putin a very clever leader.
The problem is not that Putin is smart, which of course he's smart, but the real problem is that our leaders are not.
Trump will likely to work to normalize relationships with Russia and obviously more likely to lift majority of sanctions imposed by current Biden government.
So my specific question is, would you strengthen or modify any of these economic sanctions programs, particularly Russia, including the pipeline you mentioned?
Well, it's a great question. The problem with what we have with sanctions, and I was a user of sanctions, but I put them on and take them off as quickly as possible because ultimately it kills your dollar and it kills everything the dollar represents, and we have to continue to have that be the world currency. I think it's important. I think it would be losing a war if we lost the dollar as the world currency. I think that would be the equivalent of losing a war. That would make us a third world country, and we can't let it happen. So I use sanctions very powerfully against countries that deserve it, and then I take them off. Because look, you're losing Iran, you're losing Russia. China is out there trying to get their currency to be the dominant currency, as you know better than anybody. All of these things are happening. You're losing so many countries because there's so much conflict with all of these countries that you're going to lose that, and we can't lose that. So I want to use sanctions as little as possible.
The second foreign impact will be on Israel-Hamas war. Sadly, Trump presidency will likely not lead to an end to the conflict but could instead escalate it. Trump is staunch supporter of Israel and has strong ties with the country. The US government considering Israel an ally, whether or not US citizens support it.
President, we will deport the foreign jihad sympathizers, and we will deport them very quickly, and Hamas supporters will be gone. If you hate America, if you want to eliminate Israel, then we don't want you in our country. We really don't want you in our country. I will ban refugee settlements from terror-infested areas like the Gaza Strip, and we will arrest the pro-Hamas thugs who vandalize federal property and make really life very, very difficult in this country for a lot of people.
Trump returned to office will further complicate the situation. He recently made headline by stating Israel is too small and should be bigger.
Israel is a tiny little spot compared to these giant land masses. It's really a tiny spot. I actually said, is there any way of getting more? It's so tiny.
Additionally, a Trump government may launch a massive airstrike on Iran as Iran an enemy nation for US. And various claims suggest that Iran is just 1 or 2 steps away from developing a nuclear bomb. This could lead to a massive situation in the Middle East. Israel would directly threatened by Iran's progress, and Saudi Arabia might also start its own nuclear program. The third foreign impact will be on NATO allies. NATO members more will be sore if they fail to contribute 2% of their GDP, a point Trump raised many times. Trump has argued that other NATO members aren't paying their shares, leaving the US to bear the brunt of NATO's cost. Relations could become stressful, especially after Trump once scolded NATO leader for their lack of payment. Trump has repeatedly said that if the situation continues, US will not protect any country in the event of a Russian attack. In fact, Trump may even encourage Russia to attack nations that don't meet their financial obligations.
The presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay.
This statement caused controversy as Trump seemed to be prioritizing financial matters over national security. The US uses the term allies with these countries, not partners, and an ally means standing together no matter the circumstances, even if you are wrong. The fourth foreign impact will be on US-China relationships. Trump will likely to be verbally aggressive towards China, but a war between US and China is unlikely, as China is still the manufacturing hub of the world and cannot be replaced overnight. Trump is more likely to increase tariff on Chinese products entering the US, along with additional economic sanction on China. This could further strain relationship between the two countries, but a full-blown conflict seems impossible. Trump's administration will likely focus on reducing dependency on China by bringing more manufacturing jobs back in the US and incentivizing American companies to produce domestically. However, this will be a long-term process as the global supply chain heavily depends on China. Trump policies could have a significant impact on US relationship with Taiwan. As a strong advocate for Taiwanese independence, Trump may increase military support to Taiwan, which could provoke China. This would create more tension in the Asia-Pacific region as China views Taiwan as a breakaway province. Trump's stance on China-Taiwan relations could potentially lead to increased military activity in the South China Sea, although an all-out war is unlikely due to economic interdependence between the US and China. The fifth foreign impact will be on Middle East, particularly the US relationship with Saudi Arabia. Trump has historically had a close relationship with the Saudi royal family, and their bond is likely to continue. Saudi Arabia is an important ally for the US in terms of oil supply and maintaining regional stability. Trump could work to strengthen this relationship further, especially in the context of countering Iranian influence in the region. This could involve increased arms sales to Saudi Arabia, which might increase tension in the already volatile Middle East. Another notable relationship will be with North Korea. During his first term, Trump made headlines for meeting with Kim Jong-un, a highly unusual move for a US president. While the meeting was largely symbolic and did not lead to any major agreement on denuclearization, Trump's approach toward North Korea could shift again. He may seek to restart negotiations with Kim Jong-un, though the likelihood of significant progress is uncertain. North Korean nuclear ambitions are a key concern for US foreign policy, but Trump may take a more lenient approach in dealing with the regime. Also, there is a possibility that trade wars, particularly with China, might resurface, affecting global supply chains and international trade relationships. Trump administration is also expected to focus on energy independence, particularly by boosting oil and gas production. This could lead to an expansion of fracking and drilling in the US, potentially reducing dependency on foreign soil resources. However, this policy direction may also lead to environmental concern and increased opposition from climate activities, as well as potential conflicts with states pushing for green energy policies. Another impact will be seen in Asia Pacific and Middle East groups like Quad and I2U2, along with a major improvement in relationship with India, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and other developing economic powerhouses. Also, Trump is likely to demand more financial contribution from nations the US protects, such as Japan, Saudi Arabia, and other nations where US military forces are deployed. Additionally, a Trump administration is more likely to punish or flex its power against the countries that refuse to use the US dollar, potentially imposing sanctions and increasing tariff beyond limits in some cases. It's also likely that he will pressure India and South Africa if they particularly in or agree to form a BRICS currency with other member nations. There's much more to discuss regarding the possible outcomes the world could witness if Donald Trump will become president again. Moreover, concern are rising about Donald Trump Project 2025, which is a massive topic in itself. But in general, if Project 2025 is indeed Trump's plan, it would centralize all power within himself. He would not be answerable for any decision or actions he takes. All military personnel and high-rank commanders would follow only his orders. He wouldn't need to consult any other member regarding his actions. Essentially, this would establish a dictatorship-like system. Recent comment from Trump such as, "I will make sure that you don't need to elect another president after 4 years. You don't need to go to vote," have sparked controversies regarding his intention. Is he planning to completely change the US Constitution? There's also allegation that he aims to make America a Christian nation.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
With a greater emphasis on a wide American population. His choice of allies is also intriguing, including figures like J.D. Vance and Elon Musk. Also, Musk had made strange statements such as only alpha males should vote, implying that general public do not have capability to choose their leaders. While Musk's frustration with US voting rights may be understandable since they allow anyone present in the US to vote in elections, his choice of words is often terrible and cannot be justified each time. However, becoming president won't be easy for Donald Trump, mainly because of his public image and unsolved felony charges against him. Even if he became president, question remain: will he go to jail? What about the hush money charges? There's a lot to watch and observe. This year, US presidential election is not just another routine election. It's a crucial moment for America's status and values. The influence America has wielded globally have been immense, setting trends for Europe and the rest of the world, thanks in part to American media and Hollywood. English, the global language, also amplifies US influence. But in recent years, US has come across as a divided nation with dismantling cultural values, and also US politics become banana politics. Gun violence, sexual assault on women, police racism, poverty, rising costs, and increasing safety concerns have tainted the image of America. The current US government under President Joe Biden is becoming more and more a laughingstock with each passing day. Biden's physical and mental health had raised questions about his ability to run the most powerful country in the world. Videos of him shaking hands with the ear, losing his train of thoughts, or appearing lost have flooded the internet, portraying the US government as weak. Recently, US Marines were beaten by locals in Turkey due to government biased statements and unstoppable support for Israel. Bangladesh ex-Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina also blamed the US government for causing chaos in her country. The US withdrawal from Afghanistan, which left many weapons in the hand of the Taliban regime, has become a living nightmare for women and children in the country. Most of the time, Joe Biden seems like a puppet president, with other members of his party pulling the strings. There is so much more that could be said about the wrong decisions made by current administration, but that's the discussion for another time. If you want, I can make a video on it. In conclusion, the US 2024 presidential election election is historic and highly important. Not only could we witness Donald Trump becoming president again, which might lead to authoritarian move to put the America first, but there's also a possibility of the US electing its first female president. Her ideology will be completely opposite to the Trump expect when it comes to Israel. This election will be pivotal for America's image status, the US dollar, and the way world leaders perceive the US. Can America regain its influence across the globe, or its power fading? Time will tell. Thank you for watching the video until the end. Comments below if you like more videos like this.